delay. Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everyone? What's going on, Chip? Today's a great day. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody out there. Respect and thank everybody, every soldier out there, post, previous, current, for your service. Ripple XRP replacing the US dollar. CBDCs, BRICS, RippleNet, and a dollar killer. Get ready for the excitement of today's podcast, packed with thrilling updates from the world of finance and cryptocurrency. Chip, we're going to dive into Ripple's bold moves over in Asia. They're aiming for global growth and shaking up this industry. So hold on to your seats as we uncover tons and tons of amazing things that are happening right now.
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain, everybody. Listen, so yeah, here in the United States, tomorrow is Memorial Day. It is a national holiday. It was created by Congress in 1971, and basically what it does, it honors all of the fallen soldiers that have gone before, given their lives for freedom. That's why we remember them. And that's why it's called Memorial Day, as they're memorialized in our hearts and minds. So anyway, guys, let's get into this real quick. Let's go, Jeff. I wanted to talk about this. Now, Weezie, who's fantastic on Twitter, is always uncovering and finding stuff, and edited this clip together. I remember this. This is from some time ago, and this was Joe Lubin, and it was Brad Garlinghouse, kind of just to set a primer. And the way it went was, and his tweet said, Brad Garlinghouse is always the adult in the room. But let's listen to this. This is Joe Lubin, and I don't remember where they were exactly, but this was at a conference they were both at, and they weren't on the stage at the same time. It was like a day apart. But let's listen in.
Say anything mean about them?
Let's see. Here we go. Let's back this up.
Right, speaking of, Ripple, overvalued or undervalued?
Oh, I don't want to say anything mean about them.
You don't have to.
Massively overvalued.
Okay.
The Ethereum.
So massively. I don't want to say anything mean, but massively overvalued. Massively overvalued at less than $1. Joe Lubin, Ethereum, one of the Ethereum co-founders, and the guy was promoting the idea that you could have use a generic email, because that way nobody would be able to tie it back to you on your sales. But okay, so let's listen to this next question here.
Joe Lubin.
Developer community called Consensus in Brooklyn. Overrated or underrated?
Well, some of you were. Joe Lubin was here yesterday and said Ripple's way overrated. So I guess, look, back to the Holy Wars, I want them to be successful. I don't compete with them. Like, they're working on, they have experiments, and I mean experiments going on in lots of verticals.
Are they overrated?
No, I'm excited for them. They're underrated.
Okay, very different.
So there you go. Two sides of the coin, Jeff. What are your thoughts there?
It's interesting, to see how, Brad Garlinghouse handled that. He handled it extremely diplomatically. I think he approached it from a very professional perspective. He was giving it a little bit of thought, given what Lubin had said the evening prior, and basically, undermining Ripple, undermining XRP, just and here we are at a point where we should see a banding together of crypto, of crypto builders, blockchain builders. Bring everyone together. We're up against massive, I don't want to say unsurmountable odds, but surmountable odds. There's major things that are going on that need the community at large, and to have any kind of polarization. That's why, we always focus, Chip, on the Bitcoin maxis and how polarized they've become, and maintain. But this highlights and underscores, it's such a divergence of philosophies. Here you have Brad Garlinghouse that wants the best for the space. Joe Lubin, with Lubin, I don't know if he has the space in mind when he's really, thinking through this.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I will say is, like, I want to just give credit because, again, this is Weezie right there. It's at Nerd Nation Unbox over there. Always putting some really good stuff on there, and edited these two pieces kind of back to back so we could enjoy them tonight. What he says is Garlinghouse has always been the grown up in the room, but also can't wait to see those Hinman emails. And I think we're all kind of waiting for those Hinman emails. So I just wanted to give some credit there. Also wanted to put this up from T Java. Appreciate that support. He says, rest in peace, Grandpa. World War II battle vet, liberated the concentration camps. Freedom is precious and to be fought for. Thanks, guys, for your tenacity. And absolutely. And this is what we're talking about. These are the folks that we're going to remember that gave their lives and or fought on behalf. And this is amazing. So, we think that it can't happen again. And history repeats. That was something on a tweet I put out the other day. I was like, hey, history always repeats. We should learn from our mistakes. But again, history repeats. So, I salute your grandfather there, T Java, appreciate that. Thanks for letting us know about that. And thank you for that massive support. Jeff, you want to say anything?
Man, you hit it. You covered it. And that's what it's all about right there. I really appreciate that commentary. You think about how many individuals have fallen in the sake of defending our freedoms here back at home, and the underscoring of what has been referenced as the greatest generation, which were those that marched boldly into battles overseas during World War II. And there was a lot to be said about when they're up against true fascism and fighting for I mean, it's amazing. Every life is precious, and every life lost, is we are super sorry, for that. But when, it's in the defense of our freedoms here, we have to really be so thankful. And it goes back generations. And we still have, unfortunately, people that will die in defense of our freedoms, and really appreciate, everybody, that has come before and will come after, for that. So appreciate that.
Well said.
Do want to bring up this commentary here from Alchemist, Lubin, Vitalik, the entire ETHgate criminal crew praised Don Gensler, the SEC, and Hitman.
Hitman, yeah. And this one from Mark Smithson says, World War II vets gave up everything so we'd have our freedoms. Yeah, they were young too. They were 19, 20 years old. They were shipped off to war, and there was no questions asked. And then not only that, but also the women basically went to go man the factories to be able to support the men who were overseas in battle, and worked in factories and rolled up their sleeves and metal, and all kinds of stuff. So it's a pretty crazy time. And then we have all the stuff going on today. But from my perspective, we're going to fight. We're going to fight for what's morally right and what is. We're not going to let a bunch of nutters and mentally ill people change what is in this country. If you have mental illness, again, hope you get the help you need. But again, we're not gonna bend the knee for 0.5% of the people, because the majority is the majority, and we don't roll like that. So I'll just say that. Gotta be careful what I say. There you go.
So Alchemist, the greatest generation will own 1 Bitcoin. Well, there we go.
Well, they ought to all own 1 Bitcoin. So
and there's can you imagine? I mean, think about how different things are. The way wars are waged today, and we're thinking about from a financial war, right? So go back World War II, and the technologies that had just been introduced during World War II to fight over there, and here we are now. We're having we can have drone warfare, but then you can have financial warfare, and we're seeing the beginnings of that, and it's an interesting kind of comparative right now, where we have battles that have been fought against extreme fascism to protect liberty, to protect our freedoms here at home, and now we're going down a path with money. Who would have thought back during World War II that money could be the one element that could strip all your freedoms? And that is through digital currencies, not cryptocurrencies, but digital currencies like central bank digital currencies. And the notion, whether it's through the digital yuan or a digital dollar or digital euro, that they're going to strip your liberty, strip your freedoms, and hold you captive to your money. Could you imagine that? Who would have ever thought that you could be held captive to your money?
Well, it comes down to, I mean, I see the war mostly waged over the last 5 to 10 years. It really is steeped heavily in information and the need to censor. And then, you know, what you're talking about in the CBDCs, when they say like, oh no, as the government, we're most concerned about your freedom, and we're most concerned about your liberty, and we're most concerned, well, that's the part that I don't really believe, because no, that's not how it usually works. That's not how history has worked. And when you see the very first country who's all about control and all about censorship and freedom is a want, not necessarily anywhere present, which is with China and the CBDC, like, wow, they're really technologically advanced. No, they're just really into controlling their people. So the CBDC thing will ultimately fail because people stand up, don't want it. And we've seen this happen all across the globe. But I think that this information, there's a lot of, that's misinformation. We can't talk about that. So where's your freedom to speak? And so what? If you're one of these people that think the world is flat, who cares? You know, it's like, hey, I think the world is flat. I think the world is round. I think there's this. I think there's that. But, you know, if you go search YouTube for flat earth videos, there's a little disclaimer there saying, oh, this has been debunked and the earth is, why? Why do we have to be like that? Why can't we just let people believe what they want to believe? Why can't they have a voice? If we're the voice of, we don't like CBDCs, we don't want your intrusion, we don't care. If you're going to talk to us in a way that, oh, don't worry, we're not going to program them. Well, that's the whole thing about CBDCs. And the idea of a digital dollar, we already have that. Tomorrow on any given bank, 20% of the people that go try to take the money out in fiat currency, that bank run will collapse the bank. So we already have digital dollars. We don't have the fiat currency to cover it. It is magical money. It is printed. We just found out here in the U.S. they're going to extend the debt ceiling, but they're celebrating like it's some big deal. And meanwhile, they sold everything out the back door, which is what they always do. It's what the red team always does. They sell you out because they're a bunch of gutless, feckless losers. And this is what happens every single time. The blue party I admire, because the blue party will always tell you who they are. They will always be transparent, and they will always be honest about it. But not the red team. The red team is full of garbage. They'll go to the microphone, and you know when they'll talk the loudest? When they're not in power, what they should do. When they are in power, they do the exact opposite. So yay, we're gonna increase it $1 trillion, and we're gonna let it ride for the next year and a half. Beautiful. Hey, that's great. So, and the reductions are pathetic. And you know, this is the same old thing. This is what happens when, in every government, it happens everywhere, is the people, the will of the people. There's a very few that are actually fighting for the will of people. Like there's that one Croatian MP over there that consistently puts out amazing stuff. Like you look at all throughout Europe, it's the one voice over there that almost is wanting to be silenced. I'm going to get his name wrong, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But if Sir John is here, he'll tell us all about it. But I listen to these speeches and they're just on fire, Jeff. They're on point. They're on fire. And this is what we have to do. They're like, we got to band together. This whole idea of tribalism inside of crypto is ridiculous. And we talked about this before. It's like the stock market. I mean, hey, there's only one stock and it's Apple, or it's Microsoft, or it's or it's Nvidia. It's a silly premise, but yet we transfer that over here and we're like, oh no, Bitcoin is the only one. Yeah, Michael Saylor saying the last digital asset standing will be Bitcoin. Why would you hope or even want that? Right? Why would you want to roll out competition, Jeff?
It makes no sense. You know, I mean, the tribalism doesn't have any place in innovation. Although we've seen it somewhat, you know, over the years. We saw a lot of rivalry between Microsoft and Apple over the years. But it was a different, I want to say it was a different time. You know, they were striving for space on somebody's desk at home, you know, bringing the home computer, you know, to existence. And there was a lot of battles being waged at that point, but that polarization, that tribalism continued from that point forward. But this isn't a sporting event. You know, this is something that will make or break the future generations, the economic well-being of future generations. So it is a little bit stressing when, could you imagine, Chip, if we would have seen, similar types of tribalism during the dot-com era? Where was there any kind of tribalism during the dot-com era? Other than, maybe people were a little bit more Yahoo centric, or with somebody super favored towards Ask Jeeves. Was it AOL or nothing? Oh, we have to have AOL or I'm never going to use anything but AOL. Did anybody ever say that? I mean, it didn't exist, didn't happen. And now as you start moving forward, all of a sudden, and here we're having. And this is, we have an interesting technology in front of us, because it's not just a financial asset. It's not just, from a financial, but there's lots of technology that's being built on the platform, utilizing the protocol. We're seeing the rollout of so many different asset classes, from the one, where you have NFTs that are going to have connection to real world goods. And then you have potentially, maybe in a, future voting cycle, we're going to have voting on blockchain. You're going to have real estate settlement on blockchain. There's going to be so many different things that are going to transpire. It's not just about one crypto. How can you become so polarized into this isolated, reality that they live in, that they think only Bitcoin or, only Ethereum is going to be good for, for the space at large? And it's definitely stressing that there's people, that have that mindset, and then they're willing to go to an extreme, like what we saw in that video, Chip, with Lubin, where he's going to then undermine what Ripple or anybody that's trying to build utilizing the XRPL, he's going to, purposely undermine, while he's being interviewed, and make a joke out of it. And this is, it just has no place. But it goes back to what we originally started talking about. It shows character. And I think you're going to see that those that are maxis in the space have character flaws, major character flaw. And they're probably going to be, much more isolated and as we start, progressing into this, into our future. It just bothers me a lot, when we see that, when we hear it. And that's it. That's my thought on that, Chip. I think we've
crushed that, Jeff.
We've crushed it to death.
Destroyed
I think people don't want to hear about that anymore. It's like, come on, how much can you say the same thing over and over again?
Well, T. Java says this on his on the chain hoodie has a feature that protects me against the. Does it have a feature that protects against the SEC? Send me the secret decoder ring to activate my hoodie. I'm glad you brought that up. But on the chain.shop. Let me bring it up here, Jeff, because I wanted to show this off this hoodie. Show this hoodie off here. Oh, man. I guess you got to type it in right, Jeff. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Let's go and take a look. What the heck is going on? There we go. Okay. For some reason it wasn't coming up, but there it is right there. But you can also get some cool beanies, too. There's some cool XRP beanies on the chain. It says an XRP beanie, a bunch of other stuff. You can get some on the chain emblem type stuff, hoodies, all kinds of cool gear over here that you can pick up on.
What I realized we don't have over there is an actual hat. We don't have an XRP baseball hat. I don't know why that we've never had an XRP baseball hat over there. I just realized that. Makes no sense. To make. Look, you have an XRP towel. I can't be 100% sure, but I think it's magic, Jeff. But all kinds of stuff, hoodies, jackets, all kinds of stuff. I actually have a gear bag that I always travel with, that I put all my cables in there. And I just zip it up. It's fantastic. It's just a little gear bag, which is really good. And so you guys can go over there right now, type in subscribe. You get 20% off your order right now, which is pretty cool. I'll drop this in there too if you guys are interested in any kind of cool gear you want to support. You want to say, hey, support the channel and say, hey, man, look at me. So you can go over there and do that as well. But there's the if we go to the let's go to the hoodies. Let's see, where are the hoodies and sweatshirts. There we go. Bammo, hoodies and sweatshirts. So a couple different kinds. You get the big on the chain on the back, cool little emblem up front. Very cool.
Just like that. You know, got the pullovers, got the zip ups, we got everything here. It's good quality. Jeff and I definitely made sure we got a lot of samples first before doing it. And also there's some women's stuff too. So I don't think it's just all guy stuff.
Yep.
So.
All right. What's next on the topic?
I got
here?
nothing, Jeff. That's it. Thank you guys for the show. Really appreciate it. It was awesome. Great time.
It was very cool.
Great times for everybody. No, I got this. I
Great
got this
times
interview.
We're had
Already
by
tweeted
all.
this out. I want to give her some credit for this, but this is Brooks Entwistle. He's Ripple's Asia sort of a connector over there, and talks about Ripple looks to Asia for growth and blockchain finance because it's really one of the areas that's probably most run with the blockchain, right? It's one of the fastest growing regions. And Brooks Entwistle, I love how they say this. Born in Silicon Valley 10 years ago, the bulk of Ripple's approximately 800-person workforce is in San Francisco. Another roughly 100 people are in London. Another 100 in Asia, primarily in Singapore, which has clarity. And so about 75% of its people are still in the U.S., but that's changing because, Jeff, you remember that clip we played, I think it was yesterday or the day before, where Brad Garlinghouse said they're mostly hiring outside of the U.S.?
That's it. There's no hiring, limited hiring going on in the U.S. The majority of it going outside the U.S. So that number, 800 person workforce. So let's say there's about 1,000 to 1,100 employees total with Ripple. I think we're going to start seeing some seismic shifts. You know, that will happen if we don't start seeing some regulatory clarity and things turning the corner here in the U.S. So, but that's good for their business, though. You know, this is a global business. You know, and that's the other thing. We can't be. You know, we talk about being not being too centric or polarized when it comes to a crypto asset. We also have to make it, be very clear that the crypto blockchain, this is a global phenomenon. So this is happening all over the world. Hence global. And right now there isn't a clear leader in the crypto space. I would say, the US is kind of in a leadership role that has quickly eroded that leadership role. I think they've decided, overall, because of the lack of clarity and some of the issues going on, the leader has decided to step aside and let somebody else come in and take a leadership role. But we don't see a clear defined leadership role as of yet, but we see leaders in the space, though, because Chip, you brought up Singapore. We have places over in Europe. We've got places pretty much, all around the globe that have created actual regulation or regulatory clarity for a true functionality of cryptocurrency, just not here in the US.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on with the US, chat, but it's just not. It's just is what it is, and unfortunately, that's where we're at the moment. But it says the volumes flow over RippleNet, so this blockchain-based global payments network are now mostly outside the U.S. for obvious reasons. Up to 80% of its 15 billion of global flows are sent and received from somewhere else. So this is the kind of impact where this fraudulent lawsuit that was launched by the SEC against Ripple is absolutely pathetic, and you have more than half the volumes are in Asia Pacific region. So of course, this is an area where it makes a lot more sense because first of all, you've got some pretty solid clarity. Second of all, you've got a population of people that really embrace the technology. That's part of it, right? So, I mean, you can't have one without the other. So the fact is, when you see a lot of, even when you throw that one chart up, and we're seeing like, where is all the XRP? It's all over in Asia. Like they're buying furiously. And because it's widely adopted and they're far ahead of the game. So it's phenomenal to see this. And you see Asia, Brooks Entwistle spoke with Ditchfin during the visit to Hong Kong, which is back on the company agenda. And he says that the trend of business outside the U.S., particularly in Asia, will continue. That's because both of the U.S. regulatory crackdown on all things crypto, as well as increasing opportunities. So the opportunities are always going to be plentiful, but they just happen to be outside the U.S. So there you go. Look at this. Look at this right here, Jeff.
Again, it's good. Pepwin, brand new.
Pepwin 7.
YouTube member.
Appreciate that, Pepwin.
On the chain.
Yeah, we appreciate that, guys. And you guys can. That's another way you support the channel. It's a really great way. So I really appreciate that, Pepwin7. Thank you for joining the OTC family as a YouTube member. Appreciate that a lot. And so they go into, it's actually a really good article. We can't get into the whole thing, but it talks about the tale of two ripples. That Ripple is essentially, I guess, kind of bifurcated into two related businesses. First of all, if you look back to its roots as a payment fintech, RippleNet, the blockchain wholesale payments service that utilizes digital token called XRP as the means to facilitate payments among the fiat peers, now has more than 70 banks. That's a lot more than that. I think that's the ones that are public and other financial institutions that can use it for various currency pair corridors. And at the same time, it's got RippleX, which is the catch-all unit for more speculative plays in the broader world of crypto. The backstory to this side of the business is bred confusion with legal troubles. Individuals associated with Ripples, the for-profit enterprise, also created the cryptocurrency. Well, they didn't create it; they were gifted it in XRP back in 2012. Raised more than $1 billion starting in 2013 through sales of XRP, but they also raised $300 million through venture capital, which for some reason always seems to get lost in these articles, almost every single time. Talk about the XRPL. They talk about and Whistle acknowledges a lot of time having to make the case that XRP is independent of Ripple. The company that is Ripple is a crypto firm and regards itself as an enterprise vendor for cross-border wholesale payments. And the reason he's having to do that is because of this ridiculous, lawsuit that's happening over here in the U.S. It's like, imagine that, like every conversation. Well, yeah, but understand that XRP is a decentralized asset. Like you have to go in because of this lawsuit that was waged against Ripple from the SEC. That, gosh, are we getting close to this thing, Jeff, or what? We're 2.5 years into this puppy. We need some clarity. They talk about going beyond the U.S. Look at that right there.
Man, this. So Chip, this is what I'm talking about over here. And you mentioned Asia. We got to look this. This is Korea. This is Korea only, right? So the South Korean won being traded for digital asset, and you have a flip flop here of XRP over Bitcoin. At the moment. So you have more XRP being transacted than Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin is back on top, but you've got a massive sum. Ethereum coming in number 3. It's a bunch of other things here that we don't have to reference, but you have 136 million XRP being traded at this moment in DigiYuan. And here you have 200 million Bitcoin, and then you have a little flippening here, but Ethereum coming up number 3. That's just over in Korea. So Chip, to your point, as you're referencing, all of this in the article, and you start really seeing this growth that's happening, especially like right now over in Asia. I'm going to pull up the US and we'll do a comparative as we kind of progress.
Go ahead and pull that up close to see what that looks like. And one of the things he goes on to talk about is, Mataco, that Swiss-based cryptid custody organization that they were it does custody for institutions like Citi, I think Citibank, BNB, and Paribas, a lot of big organizations. And Brooks says that this is our first full acquisition, and it's not in the United States. And it's actually pretty interesting that, again, clarity exists in other parts of the world. It's just I'm trying to even say this in a nice way, but it's a shame to see what's happened in the U.S. Used to be leaders, used to be somebody, and we let a bunch of these old stogies over here sort of lead the way that are completely out of touch, completely beholden to the Wall Street banks. And this is kind of what we were warned a while ago, is that it's going to take a little bit of time, but eventually we win because go ahead, throw that out there, Jeff. Let's take a look at that.
So this is coming into the U.S. in terms of overall volume of transaction. And so here you've got Bitcoin hovering at about 2.5 million at this moment in volume. Ethereum, number 2, coming up under 1 million, actually under 800,000. XRP, nowhere to be found.
What does that tell you, Jeff? The people in the know, the smart people, are in Asia. What it tells me.
It tells me that there's a lot of things going on, and we were just looking at Korea, but let's pull up what's going on over in Japan, because you see a lot of XRP floating through here. XRP over in Japan, as far as the Japanese yen coming up number 3 transaction wise. I don't know. It's a little bit slow to process here with the yen. Here we go. The fiat leak is starting to kick in, and let's see what we've got. So we've got let me see if I can get to it. There we go. So we've got XRP was in there a second ago, but we've got not a lot going on. Don't know why. Normally Japan, there's a lot of heavy trading going on, but it is, and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning over there.
It's morning. It's Monday. And people are working. They're on their way to work. You know what I mean? They're on their way to work. What's up, you beautiful people? Says Oscar A. Beautiful. What's up? Sean Thompson says, hey. What up, Chip and Jeff? Me taco. Sounds like great and delicious. Hey, speaking of that, Sean, so look right here. So me taco. I like me taco better. Me taco. So Ripple also owns 40% of Tranglo, a Malaysian-based fintech whose shareholders include Seamless Group and TNG. So you can just see, it's like, look at these acquisitions. And then one of the bits of news that we received this past week was Brad Garlinghouse saying that they're going to have a big grab right here for acquisitions. They have $1 billion burning a hole in their wallets, and they're going to start making some acquisitions. So expect more of what we're seeing. I would expect to probably see, Jeff, I would imagine it's going to probably happen over in Asia, other parts of the world. Who knows? But I think that this is sort of starting a trend.
No, you're right, 100% right. You know, we're going to see the trend. We are seeing the trend. We're also starting to see Hong Kong and in parts of China where they're, you know, getting a little bit accepting of crypto asset. I don't know if they're going to be easy on it, not easy on it. Not sure the exact direction right now. You know, it's an unknown variable. Something's happening. Something's transitioning as we speak.
Yeah. And this here, so two other things I want to focus on here. He talks about Brooks and Whistle says this quote here. He says, our roots are in payments, but we also do liquidity solutions, custody, and tokenization. So if you're looking ahead at the rise of the CBDCs could provide a challenge to Ripple. Enbridge and Project Dunbar are multi-central bank pilots out of Hong Kong and Singapore, respectively. And then Hong Kong, Thailand, which is Enbridge, or Singapore, the UAE corridor using CBDCs would render RippleNet irrelevant. He goes on to say that single corridor CBDCs could be a real challenge for us, and Whistle said, but that's only one part of the unfolding opportunity. What about the enterprise customer doing payroll or paying suppliers in 50 markets? That's where we come in, he said. Although Ripple has a long way to go before it could offer liquidity in so many networks. He also acknowledged that commercial banks, blockchain-based networks, thinking about JP Morgan's Onyx, for example, or the recently announced Canton network, involve 24 financial institutions using DAML programming language. They pose a commercial threat. We've had a lead, but people are chasing us, and they're good, he said. Whether a CBDC, stablecoin, or XRP will depend on the use case, and Whistle said, there's not a one-chain future, although some commercial banks are good at creating safe permission spaces. They lack the reach of public permissionless blockchain as Ethereum or RippleNet, which, wait a minute, what is this? Or RippleNet, which is partly decentralized. Partly because, I mean, it's RippleNet is software that was created by the company Ripple. This is a private independent company, but uses a decentralized asset. That's why they're calling it out there for being partial there. But interesting stuff there, Jeff. Interesting stuff from Brooks and Whistle.
You know, it's really great to see, you know, these things that are happening. We have an article here. Trying to find it. Here it is.
What is it, Jeff?
So this, we were starting to talk about this yesterday. James Roll XRP kind of posted it as well over on Twitter. But John Deaton had posted this. We're starting to talk about it a little bit yesterday. The SEC is simply illogical. And I don't know how you can put anything into perspective to say that they have any kind of logic or anything smart coming out of them lately. But let's see what Deaton has. Let's workshop this one a little bit. We don't have to go through the whole thing. But I just like taking out a little snippet here. There's no chance the SEC is generally interested in helping any crypto company come into compliance. Their real goal is just control. Taking that kind of a statement, I think, is really important. And as John Deaton is going to really dig in and look at this, what's your thought just on that opening statement? We haven't even gotten into the article yet. And if you were to read that and say, hey, maybe that's all FUD, maybe that's not even real, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is largely what's happened to a lot of regulatory bodies inside the U.S., but also too, just to go a step further, I mean, government's broken pretty much in the U.S., right? The whole idea of forming government was limited government that worked on behalf of the people, and we're way far away from that. Because if we think about the SEC, I mean, the basic logic would dictate that if you're out to protect investors, why would you erode $15 billion in market, cap, and just basically erode people's hard-earned money, right? People that made an investment in XRP, and you basically destroyed that with this frivolous lawsuit. So I don't see where, I honestly think that, when you think about Illogical, you got to start there, right? I mean, that don't make no sense, as they say, Jeff. That doesn't make any sense at all.
And, you look at this, you say, how is it that the SEC would have any kind of logic or have the best interest of the people at heart when maybe for the first time ever, and I think we've clarified that with John Deaton and other attorneys, that to have 75,000 plus holders of an asset come out against the SEC's protection of them, basically saying you're doing the wrong thing, and actually what you're doing is harming all of us. And we're talking about 75,000 plus. There's obviously a lot more XRP holders, and there's probably XRP holders out there that have not joined on to, the action that John Deaton is taking on the behalf of all those XRP holders. But here you have the SEC central theory, as we know, we've dug into this so many times. The XRP token itself is a security. Obviously, that's super problematic for a lot of reasons. The SEC based this on the allegation that the very nature of a digital asset is to be a security and nothing else, making XRP the embodiment of an investment contract with Ripple, no matter who holds it, use it, or sells it. Now, one of the things that I'm going to take out of this one, which then would translate to all these other assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, library, doesn't matter, that at the very essence, the very nature of the digital asset is that it's a security. That would mean all digital assets would be securities. And you can't have rules for one and then apply different rules for another. It doesn't make sense. Either you have one path of clarity or you have no path of clarity. And if you have no path of clarity, then what are you applying? What exactly are you doing? And why would Chip, looking at all of that, why would we even look to a Gary Gensler as like the all-knowing? He's the guy that we all want to put in charge of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary, but it's like, it's always that old saying, like, rules for thee, not for we. It's like it's never that. It's like, do as I said, not as I do type of thing. And the funny part about this whole thing is that when you think about the SEC or any of these, we've lost our way, right? The United States has lost the plot. It's lost its way in a big way because we've gotten away from, again, what the founding of the country was all about, limited government and, follow basically the Constitution. And we've gotten so far away from that we've had to, it's just gotten so complicated. The best thing to ever do is to just eliminate a lot of it and let's start over, right? Get rid of these regulatory bodies. You got this one. They're so protecting us that you could have this massive collapse with like something like an FTX. There's a failure by the, and then look at Duquan, he's going around there talking big game and everything. And then you have that massive collapse. What happened? Investors got hurt, right? So where were they? Where these tokens collapsed? Where were they? The FTX collapse. I'll tell you where they were. They were going out to dinner together, high-fiving each other and praising each other and talking about, how they could make, I guess, regulations or something that would be friendly. And then on the back door, they're saying, "Oh no, this is bad." But they fell asleep at the job. Who was on the job when FTX went under? and some of these other major tokens? Gary Gensler. So he failed miserably, and that was the one thing. But meanwhile, he's over there talking about an asset that's totally decentralized, going to tell us what the better part of this is. And this is the big problem I have. But I think we got to get back to a smaller government. We got to get back to a more efficient government. And people are tired, man. I mean, we've gone from living our lives just minding our own business to like, hey, stop, just stop, right? And if anything's shown a bright light on that, it was the last 3 years. But the bad of it was, a lot of stuff happened. The good was a lot of people are awake. They got the pots and pans. They've got the metal spatulas, and they're banging it pretty loud, walking up and down the street saying, "We're not taking it anymore. We're sick of it. We're not taking it anymore." Right? Mad as hell. We're not taking it anymore. Remember that movie, Jeff? Mad as hell. We ain't speaking it anymore.
And we're done. That's it. We are done. We're done with it. And Deaton is going to put the SEC in their place because, Chip, we are fed up with it. So here, Filecoin, library. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of other action, Ripple. But to illustrate the Filecoin trust situation through that prism, the agency's lawyers are starting to chase after grocers who are selling the oranges in a nearby town. This is how absurd this has become. Given how the SEC has treated secondary market sales of XRP in the Ripple case, those proverbial grocers now can't claim innocence by providing they bought the oranges from a middleman and not the Howey company. This is how the SEC is like twisting the narrative, and they're creating their own fiction under the SEC's. Oh yeah, under that weird, I don't know why it does that.
Cause that weird thing.
Under the SEC's new legal theory on cryptocurrency, those oranges are forever tied to the Howey investment and are thus always illegal. That is in effect what just happened at Grayscale, just like it did in the run-ups to suing Ripple over XRP. The SEC is not going to find a path for registering Filecoin as a security because there's no real way to register an asset that is practical utility on a decentralized file sharing network. Logic simply does not enter the SEC's thinking. Chip, that's a lot that's packed in to 3 short paragraphs. He's saying a lot. It's very meaningful what he's saying. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's making a really good point. Is like, even if you go back to Howey, the oranges, the equivalent of what John's saying there is that the XRP or Filecoin or any of these are the security, when in fact, no, it's more about the scheme of the packaging of it, right? If you go back to the Howey, the 1946, whatever it was, 1947, it was the scheme of how they packaged it. Hey, we're going to sell the oranges for you. We'll take them to market. We'll work the land. We'll do all this stuff for you. There was an expectation of profit. You were relying on somebody else. They were doing all the work, right? So, but the oranges were never in question, and they were certainly never the security. But the SEC's thinking of the illogical behavior here as well. That's okay because the digital asset is the security. And that's just some really backwards thinking. And John puts it eloquently in just a very simple sort of analogy. But this is where I just don't know how it falls short. And again, anytime you have new technology, there's going to be a missing, Jeff. There's always going to be somebody that's not going to quite be able to put the dots together. A lot of what happened, if we look back in time, I'm a little bit shocked at how well the .com rollout went, because at one point Congress is trying to tax it, eventually they figured out ways to tax, right? But they didn't slow the growth. They said, hey, let's take a step back. You had some bipartisan support, like, hey, we don't know, but instead of going after it and crushing it and saying we can't have this because the internet is gonna interfere with this, or it's this, trying to be the straw man, the demon, trying to single it out. Everybody took a step back and let's say, hey, we don't know where it's going to go. Let's let it develop. In the United States, that's not the same methodology we're seeing because there's a lot more at stake. Yeah, sure, local businesses were hurt with the growth of behemoths like Amazon and the mom and pop and the brick and mortar stores were. But what do we have? What do we have right now? Well, the big thing we've got going on right now are the banks, right? Where's the big threat? Where's the big threat coming out of this? Let's go back to this right here. I want to put this up here, but this is, somebody clipped this thing and it's a little bit wonky, but I wanted to throw this up here.
You can just hear the bankers panicking right now.
But here was that famous thing, the exchange between Tim Draper and Gary, Daddy G, I'm a loser. And it's just not just the body language here alone, okay? You got Tim Draper. He's got the ties all messed up. He's mansplaining, doesn't give a F about anything, Jeff. He's got badass Bitcoin socks on, doesn't give a crap, right? And you got lady parts over there, Gary Gensler. He has a skirt on. He's got his legs all folded up like a little douchebag. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm a little high strung tonight, Jeff, but look at this. He's like, well, look. Look at the way they're sitting. Just look at who is commanding this. And he's like, he's trying to get in there. And Tim Draper just owns him in this clip, just destroys him in this clip.
Panicking right now.
But what
Just
what
feel the panic in their voices. But here's here's what always happens. The first thing that happens is they try to go, oh, it's nothing, and they did that. I mean, that's with every new industry, every new technology comes along, the powers that be, the incumbents, the status quo, all say it's nothing. Don't ignore the man behind the curtain. This is nothing. And then all of a sudden it's too big to get in there. You know, they're going, oh my God, I got to face this thing. And then they all line up and they wrap their arms together and they say, we're not letting this happen. And then it keeps going. And then they say, okay, well, let's sue them. Or let's go get the guy.
Now, Jeff, I don't care what you think of Tim Draper. He's a Bitcoin maxi. He's a this or that. This right here will have him in the on-the-chain Hall of Fame for the entirety forever. Because who knew? I mean, the incredible foreshadowing, him talking to future regulator when Gary Gensler ends up and he's talking about they're going to try to sue them. They're going to come after him. How amazingly prolific is this right here? It's insane, right? I mean, so he's telling Gary Gensler, and then they're going to put their arms together and we're going to sue them. Yeah, okay. The SEC came after him, and that's where Gary Gensler is. This was 2018. This is 5 years ago.
It's amazing.
And then they say,
amazing.
Okay, well, let's sue them. Or let's go get the government.
There's another thing they do. They adopt the technology.
No, shut up. Just shut your mouth. Shut up. Pull your skirt up. Relax over there.
Look, he's already got that finger going too. He's already ready for that.
Look at him.
The comment on Gensler says, look at Gensler's hand too. He's like reaching out to him.
You know, Tim Draper just
nope.
He just throw punched him several times, and with just the dialogue alone, it's phenomenal.
No, that's at the end.
They will adopt
this technology. No, this is the last thing they do. No, it's after the press planting. They plant the press stories. They put out lawsuits. They create as much of a fuss as possible. They try to get their government friends.
So, I mean, he goes on about it, but dude, just amazing right there. Amazing.
It's so perfect. Yeah, I wanted to throw this one up from Pep when he said, looks like the government currently is angling for a new style feudalism society. And that's very, very perceptive. You know, and that comment, you know, if we look at every element of our economic well-being that is being devolved, and the way they've come out to attack any component that allows our economy to progress, and they're systematically dismantling it 100%. So that's a really good commentary, especially seeing how aggressively they're coming after this economic asset class, talking about cryptocurrency and the blockchain tech that goes along with it, because they do not like the decentralized nature of it in any shape or form. Chip, before we go on, want to give a quick shout out here, and we're going to do this, get as many people possible on the show, but coming up June 21st, so we're a few weeks out yet, we are going to have Congressman Donalds on with us. And Congressman Donalds did take Gary Gensler to the mat, held him to task. Now, if you guys remember, we had Warren Davidson, Congressman Davidson on not too long ago. a couple weeks ago. And if you haven't seen it yet, go to onthechain.io, onthechain.io, do a search for Warren Davidson. Go check out the long video, check out the short form video. We carved that up into about a 15-minute spot. Check that out. But we're going to bring Congressman Donalds on, and Chip, I'm really, really excited. All the things that we're talking about, this entire narrative, crypto, where Gary Gensler really stands on things. Congressman Donalds is going to hold this guy, his feet to the fire. And, I'm excited, Chip. I'm excited to bring him on.
As am I, Jeff. He's like one of the good guys and a really rising star in the red team. And also, it's just proud as hell that he hails from our great freedom state of Florida, which is also great. He's actually, Jeff and I live on the East Coast. He's over on the West Coast representing. But it's just, I'm really looking forward to this because every time I see him in an interview, it just gets better and better. And it's so great to see, I think it was, this was his second term election. He's fairly new. But it's just great to see this fight, and he's not going to waver. He's not going to bend, and he's going to always stand up for what he believes in. And this is what we need more of in Congress. I wanted to put this one up here. This was Visual of Vendetta, who said it's only time now until the whole financial system will be reset, and all the signs are pointing to a huge collapse incoming. And it's only the thing that will save us to reset the system. And I think a lot of what's happening is the battle for what that save is going to look like. What is that system going to look like, and is it going to collapse? And you have people like these non-governmental agent, organizations, like, I don't even know if I want to say who they are. We know who they are, but they're vying to tell us, the people, it's like, listen, you don't control our government, you don't control anything, you're unelected bureaucrats who aren't even part of an organization or government. So just give it up. Just give it up. We don't really want to hear from you guys. Nobody really cares at the end, Jeff.
Yeah, that's right. That is
John
correct.
Alchemist says John Deaton is still my hero. He's never changed from hero status. He single-handedly has probably made the biggest transformation in this SEC v. Ripple, because it was just a case that a lot of people would have been interested in versus 76,000 people joining up and him being able to represent, and also some other ones, especially when he was when he intervened in the library case and talked about basically the SEC got to admit that the secondary sales were not, they sort of agreed with the judge that they're not, there's no issue with the secondary sales. So that was, again, there's so much good stuff has come out. Florida Community says U.S. citizens get more protection from a condom filled with holes than they do from the SEC. Pretty much is how it works. I mean, if you use that analogy, it's kind of like, and look at this one. Norpheus says the evil ones wanted to usher in with not a whimper, but Ripple spoiled it for them. Stay loud, family. Appreciate that. Norpheus, I like that. It's pretty good.
Norpheus is good. Sober is saying control is the only system they know. It's called government for a reason.
Right, and that pesky Constitution is the only thing holding the entire world together, whether you like it or believe it or not. Right. But if the U.S. falls, it all falls. There's no place you're going to go if the U.S. falls, sadly enough, because it'll all turn into the days of kings and queens, where the king would be like, well, let's see, we need more money, we need to raise more money. Well, we already taxed them to death. We'll tax them again. They have nothing. Tax them again. Tax them. It's like, just keep taxing them. We'll take their stuff. They don't have anything. They've given it all up for the greater good, so to fight the battle. So this is where we are. But you have to just remember, we're the majority. If you don't think we're the majority, we are. Most of the time we keep our mouth shut, but this past 3 years have proven anything, is that we are the majority, and we're no longer silent. We used to be known as the silent majority. You're just kind of quiet. We're not sitting around anymore. We're out there fighting. We're giving it some fight, and we're not backing down, Jeff.
We're not backing down. But for the day, when this day comes, XRP Productions, we know he's a parody site, but this pops up, and you look at this, and he said, holy shit, does this mean what I think it means? NASDAQ congratulates Ripple for winning. Yeah, he obviously put there was something else there. The loss.
It was Matako tweeted that out that said, congratulations. On the NASDAQ congratulates Metaco, Metaco, whatever it is. Change the name of it. Just change it to something that we care about.
There you go.
Like Fripple or I don't know. Anything.
Chip,
Change it to
hey,
something.
since we're coming up, we talked a little bit about Xumm and Xaman the other day.
Yeah.
Do we have any clarification on that? Are they really changing the name?
They are.
It wasn't an April Fool's joke.
No. Well, I'll unpack it a little bit here. Let's see a little bit of time we have. But there's a reason that they're doing it. You're like, well, what the hell is the reason? Well, the reason is they're evolving into a different sort of a company. So this is a new area. Now we're going to be Xaman. How do I know that? Because I actually clicked on the little clip that told me how to pronounce it. But we went from Xumm to now it's going to be Xumm evolves into a new era. Welcome Xaman. Which reminds me so much of Zombo.com, Jeff, when I think about it. But we're thrilled to announce a rebranding to Xaman. And the reason being is that the evolution occasionally, let me make this a little bigger here, foreshadowed by confusion due to the separate entities. So you had XRPL Labs, and then you had Xumm, and then the unintentional links to other entities in the XRPL ecosystem. So what they're doing is they're going to unify XRPL Labs and Xumm under one entity, a stronger entity called Xaman. And Xaman, they didn't take it lightly. Xaman's the Maya god of merchants, trade, business, and economy. It encapsulates the goal of seamlessly blending the retail, crypto, and providing an appropriate avatar for this ambitious vision. So that's what it's going to become Xaman. And they even put like a little, let's see, there it is, Xaman. But here it is right there. If you listen, how do you pronounce Xaman? Because I would have pronounced it Xaman, but it's Xaman. If you listen to this, and I don't have it in here, but it would be called Xaman, had that, But one thing I wanted to put up here, Jeff.
Xaman.
I wanted to
I don't know, Chip.
I wanted to put this up here because I brought this up a couple of times. We've never actually seen it, but I wanted to do this, share this. Here we go.
Hello, Juan. Juan saying hello to everybody.
Listen to this. Listen to this. Here we go.
Get it out there.
Welcome to Xumm.
What
Xumm.
the heck is that?
Zombo.com.
Zombo.com.
Is Xumm. Welcome to Xumm. You can do anything at Xumm.
Anything, Jeff?
Anything at all.
Anything.
The only limit is yourself.
It's all, Jeff.
Welcome to Xumm. Welcome to Xumm. This is Xumm. Welcome to Xumm.
Yeah, welcome,
This
Jeff.
is Xumm. Welcome.
Welcome, Jeff.
This
What the?
is Xumm.
It's Zombocom, Jeff.
This is Xumm. And welcome to you who have come to Xumm.
Zombocom.
What does it do?
Is possible.
Anything's possible.
My God, anything is possible.
Are you listening?
You can do
See, I'm listening.
at Xumm.
You can do anything at Zombocom.
Let's see if it was
The
real.
infinite is possible.
Everything's possible at Zombocom.
Oh my God.
The unattainable is unknown at Xumm.
Zombocom.
Welcome to
To
Xumm.
Zombocom.
This is Xumm.
My God. Seriously, how long does this go on for?
Welcome.
What the heck is this?
Xumm.
It's Zombocom, Jeff.
Welcome to Xumm.
This is Zombocom. How long has this been around for?
I remember like 10, 15 years ago.
Man,
Welcome to Xumm.
that it's still around.
This is
Unbelievable.
Everything's possible at Zombocom, Jeff. You don't know that?
My God, no, I've never seen that.
That's what I hear one of these things. I think about something like Zombocom, Jeff. Everything is infinitely possible at Zombocom. Welcome to Zombocom. Welcome to onthechain.io. Anything is possible at onthechain.io. Anything is possible at onthechain.shop, which is our merch store. And soon coming in here is anything's possible. Guys, go ahead, subscribe, click that like bell so you're notified when we go live. Really appreciate you guys. Click that thumbs up. There's 180 people in here right now. Go ahead and click on that and let's do it. That's it, Jeff. That's all I have today.
That's all we've got. Zombocom.
Zipple will.
Hey,
Marcel Huber says the Ripple will buy this. 100% buy this website. I want some Zomba. Says Huddle the Oddle.
We need some Zombocom. Appreciate everybody for joining us here tonight on Memorial Day weekend. All over the world, we got people tuning in from virtually all over the world. You guys are amazing. You guys are the best and the brightest in all of crypto YouTube space. Give us a shout out. Give us a like. We would love to see you guys back on with us again. What's today, Chip? Sunday? We'll be back Wednesday. Wednesday, 8 p.m. Out. Have an amazing rest of your long weekend. Time off tomorrow.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Really appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And all I have to say is
will Zombocom.
See you. Well, Zombocom. Zombocom is amazing, Jeff. You don't know this? Zombocom. You can do anything in Zombocom. It's everything is infinitely possible. Where?
On Zombocom.
Zombocom. There you go. Okay. We're out of here. Chip and Jeff are out.
Zombo.com.
We are out of here. I just wanted to do one thing before we get out of here. And that would be this. We haven't played this in a long time.
Gary!
Oh my God, you just blew everyone's speakers.
I blew your ears out. I don't know why that's so damn loud. I really
so loud.
I don't know why it's so loud, but it's super, super loud. And then this is what we're gonna, guys. This is what's just. I want picture the scene, okay? Jimmy Fallon sends the tweet heard around the world, and this is going to be our reaction. We're going to read it, and this is how everyone in the XRP community is going to read it. Yo, that's how we're going to react. Everyone's going to be like, oh, what the hell? So,
oh my God, that's awesome.
That's coming, guys. That's coming.
That is coming around the corner.
See you guys.
That's awesome.
And just for fun, I'm going to play the long outro for Sean Thompson, who requested often.
It's a long one.
You guys ready? Here we go. See you on the next one, Chip and Jeff. Out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops. Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.